The dwarves of Ironforge Mountain lived in peace for many long centuries, wherever their society grew too large within confines of their mountain cities. Though the mighty High King Modimus Anvilmar ruled over all dwarves with justice and wisdom, three powerful factions had arisen amongst the dwarven society. The Bronzebeard clan, ruled by Tain Madaran Bronzebeard, had close ties to the High King and stood as the traditional defenders of Ironforge Mountain. The Wildhammer clan, ruled by Tain uh, Cardanos, uh, Cardos, Cardros, Wildhammer, inhabited foothills and crags around the Basin Mountain and sought to gain more control within the city. Third faction, the Dark Iron clan, was ruled by sorcerer Tain Tesurian. The Dark Irons hid within the deepest shadows under the mountain and plotted against both their Bronzebeard and Wildhammer cousins. For a time, the three factions kept a tenuous peace, but tensions erupted when High King Anvilmar passed away from old age. The three ruling clans went to war for control of Ironforge itself. War civil war raged under the earth for many years. Eventually, the Bronzebeards, who had the largest standing army, banished the Dark Irons and Wildhammers from under the mountain. Cardros and his Wildhammer warriors travelled north through the barrier gates of Dun al-Gaz, and they founded their own kingdom within the distant peak of Grim Patol. There, the Wildhammers thrived and rebuilt their stores of treasure. The Surian and his Dark Irons did not fare as well. Humiliated and enraged by their defeat, they vowed revenge against Ironforge. Leading his people to the far to the south, the Surian founded a city, which he named after himself, within the beautiful Red Ridge Mountains. Prosperity and the passing of years did little to ease Dark Iron rancor towards their cousins. The Surian and his sorceress wife, Modgud, launched a two-pronged assault against both Ironforge and Grim Batol. The Dark Irons were intent on claiming all of Khaz-Modan for their own. The Dark Iron army smashed against their cousin strongholds and very nearly took both kingdoms. However, Madaran Bronzebeard ultimately led his clan to decisive victory over Tesurian's sorcerer's army. Tesurian and his servants fled back to the safety of their city, unaware of the events transpiring in Grim Batol, where Modgud's army would fare no better against Kadros and his Wildhammer warriors. As she confronted the enemy warriors, Modgud used her powers to strike fear into their hearts. Shadows moved at her command, and dark things crawled up from the depths of the earth to stalk the Wildhammers in their own halls. Eventually, Modgud broke through the gates and laid siege to the fortress itself. Wildhammers fought desperately, Kadros himself wading through the roiling masses to slay the sorceress queen. With their queen lost, the Dark Irons fled before the fury of the Wildhammers. They raced south towards their king's stronghold, only to meet the armies of Ironforge, which had come to aid Grim Batol. Crushed between the two armies, the remaining Dark Iron forces were utterly destroyed. The combined armies of Ironforge and Grim Batol then turned south, intent on destroying Tesurian and his Dark Irons once and for all. They had not gone far when Tesurian's fury resulted in a spell of cataclysmic proportions. Seeking to summon a supernatural minion that would ensure his victory, the Tesurian called upon the ancient power sleeping beneath the world. To his shock, and ultimately his doom, the creature that emerged was more terrible than any nightmare he could have imagined. Ragnaros, the Fire Lord, immortal lord of all fire elementals, had been banished by the Titans when the world was young. Now freed by Tesurian's call, Ragnaros erupted into being once again. Ragnaros' apocalyptic rebirth into Azeroth shattered the Red Ridge Mountains and created a raging volcano at the center of the devastation. The volcano, known as Black Rock Mountain, was bordered by the searing gorge to the north and the burning steeps to the south. Though Tesurian was killed by the forces he had unleashed, his surviving brethren were ultimately enslaved by Ragnaros and his elementals. They remain within the depths of Black Rock to this day. Witnessing the horrific devastation and the fire spreading across the southern mountains, King Madaran and King Cardros halted their armies and hastily turned back towards their kingdoms, unwilling to face the awesome wrath of Ragnaros. The Bronzebeards returned to Ironforge and rebuilt their glorious city. The Wildhammers also returned home to Grim Batol. However, the death of Modgud left an evil stain on the mountain fortress. The Wildhammers found it uninhabitable. They were bitter in their hearts over the loss of their beloved home. King Bronzebeard offered the Wildhammers a place to live within the borders of Ironforge, but the Wildhammers steadfastly refused. Gardros took his people north towards the lands of Lordaeron. settling within the lush forests of the hinterlands. The Wildhammers crafted to the city of Airy Peak, where the Wildhammers grew closer to nature and even bonded with the mighty griffins of the area. Seeking to retain relations and trade with their cousins, dwarves of Ironforge constructed two massive arches, the Tandil Span, that bridge the gap between Casmodan and Lordaeron. Bolstered by mutual trade, the two kingdoms prospered. After the deaths of Madaran and Cardros, their sons jointly commissioned two great statues in honor of their fathers. The two statues would stand guard over the pass into the Southlands, which had become volcanic in the wake of Ragnaros' scorching presence. They served as both a warning to all who would attack the Dwarven kingdoms, as a reminder of what price the Dark Irons, and as a reminder of what price the Dark Irons paid for their crimes. The two kingdoms retained close ties for some years. Wildhammers were much changed by the horrors they witnessed in Grimpenthal. They took to living above ground, on the slopes of Airy Peak, instead of carving a vast kingdom within the mountain. The ideological differences between the two remaining dwarven clans eventually led to the parting of ways.